everyone, welcome back to Supercharge. My name is Sonal, an HR director, and this channel is all about giving you practical tips on how to supercharge your career. Okay, so this tell me your weaknesses question is probably one of the most annoying parts of any job interview. And if you absolutely hate it, well, join the club. Not only because it's annoying, but it's also really personal if you think about it. There is this complete stranger in front of you. They talk to you for about half an hour and they want to know what you're weak at. That puts you in a vulnerable position and you don't want to sound rehearsed. But on the other hand, what are you going to say? Be authentic, be honest, and say that you're actually deep down rather lazy and that when deadlines come in, you'd rather watch your favorite shows on Netflix than put in the work. Or that you're terrified of numbers? Of course not. That's not the point. So today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to look at how to address this question in an honest and a fresh way that when you leave the room, you go out and you say, I did a pretty good job. And that's what we're going to be looking at today. So let's get started. Before we do, I'd like to talk about three things. The first is, what is a weakness, or how would you define it? For me, it's basically something that I know I'm weak at. It could be a hard skill like numbers, it could be a soft skill like public speaking, or it could be a personality trait like impatience or anger, management of anger. That's what a weakness is. And the second thing I'd like to talk about is why interviewers ask this question. Is it to annoy you? Maybe. But most of the time, what they want to do is they want to find out, can you do this job or not? And are there any red flags I need to know about as a recruiter or as an interviewer? And they also want to know, more importantly, I think, they want to know what is your level of self-awareness? How well do you know yourself? So if you're going to answer this question with, let's see, I don't have any weaknesses, I'm rather perfect. Or if you say, I'm quite a perfectionist and I sometimes can be a workaholic and I obsess too much with my work, or I can't delegate in large teams because I believe a job well done is when I do it myself. Those sort of standard answers. The interviewer is going to see right through them because guess what? They've been through the same books, the same websites, and they're going to kind of roll their eyes and say, oh yeah, that answer again. Yeah, sometimes I just feel like telling them, if you don't want a stupid answer, don't ask a stupid question. But anyway, you can see I'm not a fan of this one. Also keep in mind, this question can be asked or disguised in different ways. Tell me about your areas of improvement. Tell me about your areas of development. Or if you could change one thing about yourself, what would it be? Those are a little bit more digestible than the tell me about your weaknesses question. And they appear a little bit less threatening, but they're the same question. The third thing I want to talk about is the fact that a weakness is not necessarily a bad thing, and that's not how I view it, and I don't think you should either. Weaknesses are what make us unique and what make us humans. So as John Legend says, love your perfect imperfections. Okay. So I have an approach to help you answer this question, and it's an acronym. Ooh, surprise. It's called FLAW. Get it? Flaw, weakness. Yeah, but there's a little flaw with my FLAW approach. There's a PH instead of an F. Yeah, minor detail. Let's get into it. The P in FLAW stands for past weaknesses. Here, feel free to talk about an issue or a weakness that you had in the past, how you worked hard and overcame it, and it's done and you've come out victorious. Yay, you're proud of yourself. Let's take an example. So I once interviewed a candidate who gave a very good answer for this one. He suffered from something called glossophobia, and that's the geeky word for the fear of public speaking. And here's what he shared. Glossophobia prevented me from sharing my ideas, my work, and solutions to project challenges that we were facing. Those rare occasions that I did speak in front of large groups ended disastrously, and I became a sort of an office joke. It was horrible, and I knew I had to do something. So I joined the local Toastmasters club in my city, and along with some very helpful YouTube videos, I practiced hundreds of times. I'm told I'm a natural now. I've done 4 to 5 presentations in the past year, and I even got very, very good feedback from the division head. So there you have a concrete example, and it doesn't make you feel vulnerable or exposed when you talk about it, because it's done, it's in the past. And so that's P in FLAW. The H stands for hard skills, and here feel free to talk about technical teachable skills that you know you don't have currently, but you're actively working on it, and you need to mention that frequently when you're talking about the hard skill. Let's take examples. So maybe if you work in finance, you could talk about maybe SOX or IFRS, or that you haven't been exposed to mergers and acquisitions yet if you work in strategy. Or if you work in HR, you could say you're not very exposed to how payroll works, or you haven't worked with trade unions. If you work in marketing, you can talk about market research. Or in IT, you could say I'm not yet fully versed with the agile project methodology. Or maybe there's a language that you know you need to pick up and you haven't started, or you're not yet at the fluent level. That is something that you should feel pretty safe to share, because it's a technical skill, it's a hard skill, and we all have those skills that we haven't quite mastered yet. But it's important to say that you're working on it. The third part of FLAW is the law, the LAW, and that stands for livable, acceptable weaknesses. So weaknesses that you are aware of that you have, you can live with them, and you know they are acceptable weaknesses to the job. Not only because you know it, but in the eyes of the interviewer as well. They shouldn't be an obstacle. Now for this one to work, you need to make sure you know yourself very well and the job and what it's demanding. Because if you give an example of a weakness that you can live with but is not acceptable to the interviewer, that could be an issue. An example of what not to do. I'll give you 2. The first example is if you know, this is a job in accounting, and if you say you're weak in math, you're shooting yourself in the foot. Or it's a position in legal, and you say sometimes attention to detail is something you suffer with, or you know you're working on it. That is a no-brainer. There's no way they're going to take you on for that one. So let me share with you an example of a livable and acceptable weakness. You could say, I'm not very good with confrontation. I like things to be peaceful, and if there is a bit of a conflict, I tend to withdraw in my shell. And this kind of an answer can work, for example, in individual contributor roles like an analyst, or where you don't really have a huge amount of interaction or with lots of people, or leading large groups of people. So it's a tricky one, being honest, but it's possible. It means knowing yourself very well, making a list of all your weaknesses, and then making a list of everything that this organization is, or the position is looking for, and seeing that the one you decide to share is not clashing in any way with the position that you have in mind. You know, weaknesses are not something we sort of show off and shout from the rooftops, but at the same time, we don't necessarily want to hide them either. And that's it. That's the FLAW method. Talk about weaknesses that were in the past, talk about hard skills that you have and that you're working towards, and livable, acceptable weaknesses that you feel comfortable sharing, which will not be an obstacle in getting that dream job. And before I go, I also wanted to say, in the description box below, I've created a PDF. Do look at it. It's got the FLAW approach with examples in each of the categories, which should sort of help you and resonate with you as well. So all the very best. And don't forget, if this was helpful, give this a thumbs up, share this with your friends, and leave in a comment. Would love to hear from you, and see you in the next video. Ciao.